Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the ComicBase Livestream. I'm your host, Pete Bickford, and yeah, this is a special one. Thanks for everyone who showed up on the special day. We were really trying very hard to get this going yesterday, but we just could not pull off in time. We were just so deep in making the thing happen that we'll be talking about later on in the show. But anyway, hey, welcome everyone here, and just want to say a quick round to everyone who made it early. Richard Scott, you get the pride of place for being first in line here. Looks like our wrench Greg Heck just joined us here. Thomas B, great to see you. Andre, we will be mentioning your stuff as well today. And Robbie, good to see you. Anyway, so yeah, let's get down to it. I want to let everyone know that we do have a hard out at 5 o'clock today, so I won't be going too long on anything. If you do have questions you'd like me to address during the live stream, please let me know. Just send a message to in the chat to @ComicBaseTV and I will try to answer them as much as we possibly can. All right, so without further ado, let's get on with things. Oh, by the way, please like and subscribe. So I guess there's a little bit of further ado here. So if this is the sort of thing you like doing, and one advantage if you hit the bell button is you'll also, if we find out that we're testing Zoom and it's not working for say our staff calls, and I mess with all my settings and accidentally press the record button and it launches up, I don't know, broadcast onto the whole world of a minute or so of me whining about crystal reports to our staff. This is the sort of thing you would actually get notified about in real time before I could take it down and make the video private. So anyway, so yes, do hit that bell icon. You never know what you're going to get for that one. All right, so I do want to say, first of all, we update news. First of all, ComicBase, there's a newish build. I think it's 1038 is we're up to right now, or 1638. Nothing particular. If you got last week's update, you're fine as far as the actual build for the software. A few little typo-ish things that we changed. Some capitalization rules on a couple menu items and foolish things like that. Nothing too worrisome. If you didn't grab it last week, don't worry about updating. You're just fine. The main thing that we've thrown in recent weeks is a one-click fix for the OneDrive issue. So if you've been battling the message that says, hey, look, it looks like OneDrive might be taking over your documents folder, and that's going to cause you all sorts of troubles when using a database program like ComicBase, there's now one button that just makes it all better. So that seems like it's working okay. So give that a go if you're having trouble with it, and that should do you. All right, so let's get on to the other half of the update, which is, let me go ahead and move this onto the screen here. This is our update stats for last week alone, and once again, Andre and a couple other folks have just really outdone themselves. 96,933 new items added to the database in a single week. This is just nuts. I don't know another way to put it. I'm going to it's and the worst part is there's more to come. So along with that, 180,000 price and issue updates. A lot of those are filling in data in the 179,000 items that were added the week before. Thank you so much to everyone who's been submitting data, and I'll give everyone a heads up that the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be just absolutely off the freaking charts, because we've been given a great deal of data by particularly Andre on various famous world newspapers, and that's going to start making its way to the program along with thousands and thousands of pictures and other things like that, as well as everything else that people have been contributing. And so the next couple updates are going to be just crazy. You're going to really see that magazines category branch out, and it's going to be really quite a thing to behold. So anyway, thank you to everyone who made that happen. So all right, let's get on to our other news. Let me switch my camera back here. Oh no, I left the key on. I got it. Okay, I know how to work this switcher now. I'm getting good at this. All right, so well, as a lead into this, let me put it this way. If you guys see these stacks of stuff behind me here, that's some of the new the free comic book day books that have come in just this week. Free comic book day for once is going to be on time. Yes, the COVID era is apparently it's apparently past us. You know, the you can wear, at least for, you know, at least this week, you can wear, go into airplane mask free and enjoy life like a normal human being, as opposed to wearing your magic face diaper all day long. And you know, honestly, people are out in the streets. We're starting to enjoy life again. And for once, Free Comic Book Day is arriving when it's supposed to, which is to say the first week in May. So it's going to be May 7th, and there's coming out with, I believe the number is 45 new, 45, I heard 45, I heard 46 new titles that are shipping along with it this this time out. And those are the silver sponsored titles. So those are the ones that don't just get leaked out the back door for Free Comic Book Day, but it's the ones that are actual specials on there. And there's some really great stuff in there. I mean, I just looked at a few of them coming up here. For instance, you know, here's the Red Sonja Dynamite reprint coming out here to advertise the new series. Is actually reprinting the old Bruce Jones and Frank Thorne Red Sonja #1 from I believe it's 1975, the original Marvel series. I believe they recolored it, which I'm so on the recoloring, but it's just really just cool to see the story again, because I mean that was honestly of all the Red Sonjas, that was always my favorite. But there's a ton of stuff out there. So check it out. It's going to be out there. One thing that everyone knows, though, and here's my segue, is that entering Free Comic Book Days into ComicBase or anything else is nuts. It absolutely makes you crazy, because you know, you don't know, is this, you know, going to go in as the 15th reprint of Lady Mechanica #1, which has been their traditional Free Comic Book Day, you know, for 12 years or whatever else? Is it going to be a brand new title as a one-off? Is it a reprint under an existing title? Is it going to be something completely different that'll never be seen again? Hard to know, but thankfully there's this wonderful thing that happens on all these books, is that they've typically all got a barcode. Thank you, Diamond Comics, for ensuring that that's anything that they distribute has got to go out with a barcode. And that's the segue, which says that finally, after it's been probably 5-6 months, we finally have our new barcode scanners in. This has been the journey of... we've been thinking about this for over a year. We've been actively testing models for probably 9 months. We chose a vendor over 6 months ago, and then additional COVID lockdowns in China and the Pacific Rim, shipping delays, crazy things. And so, I can't tell you what a miracle it was when on Monday of this week, a DHL packages finally arrived at our doorstep, and we unpacked them. We ran through the testing, and we ran through the verification of the setup sheets and everything else. And they're in, they're spectacular, they work great, and I want to tell you all about them on this live stream. So that is the main event. That is the secret that I couldn't talk about beforehand. Honestly, I'd love to just put a thumbnail out there ahead of time, but then you'd be looking at the thumbnail and then there'd be no point to us talking, because you'd already know the surprise. But anyway, so as you are going, as this is going live right now, hopefully the staff back at ComicBase Central is updating our website and sending out mailings to everyone else in the world to let them know that at long last these are in stock. And let me go through some of the details on how these work and how they work with ComicBase. So first of all, let me go ahead and tease. By the way, in order, we were so happy that these scanners came into stock, we actually decided we're not only just going to sell the new scanners, we're also going to put in a spring sale, something we never do. Typically, there's only a couple times during the entire year that ComicBase ever goes on sale, but we've decided that this is going to be one of them, because we're just so relieved that the wait is over. So what we're doing is, for the next 4 or 5 days, we've got the new scanners in stock. They're available to ship. I guess if we sell out of them, then we wait longer. But we ordered a bunch, so hopefully they won't immediately sell out. We'll see how it goes. But we're also we're knocking $100 off the base price of the 4K Archive Edition, $100 off the base price of the regular Archive Edition, as well as throwing the upgrades to their lowest levels So if you haven't updated during our, around Christmas and New Year's, this is definitely the time to jump on, because it's, typically a really long time between sales for us. Black Friday, Christmas is pretty much the only time you can kind of count on it, the things going on sale. So do get while the getting is good if your subscription is getting a little long in the tooth, or if you're looking at moving up to a higher end version of ComicBase. One of the things that we always do during these sales is we very much want to encourage you to move up to the archive editions, because that's really, it shows off our best work. It lets us show that massive library of cover images that we've been working on for the last 29 years, and make those all available to you in the program, which really, especially with variant identification, is just huge these days. Being able to make that all come together in the program, print them out on labels, show them on reports. Every time you look at something, you enter it into your collection, you see the image pop up. So if you're using one of the more starter versions of ComicBase, we definitely always encourage people to get to the archive. And one of the flukes that we have in our pricing scheme is that if you're coming from any of the other editions of ComicBase, the upgrade to the archive edition, particularly during the sale, will typically save you some money. In this case, for $109 as an upgrade from any of the Pro or archive editions, you can get the $300 ComicBase Archive Edition for the next 5 days, and I believe it's also $100 off the upgrade price normally going from the Express. So anyway, that is what's going on right now, and here is our new scanner. So there's going to be two new models of them. This is the ComicBase Wireless Scanner and the ComicBase DX3 Scanner. Let's talk about what those all involve, and I will find a way to get that key to come off automatically. Really, I will. I think I've got it preloaded right now. Okay, so let's talk about this, and let's actually demo it so we can show how this works with ComicBase. Well, first of all, let me show you the products. So the first one over here, I'll do my Vanna White impression. This is the ComicBase DX3 scanner. So it's the third generation of our deluxe laser scanners. These are professional, quality scanners, just like you'd use in a straight point of sale system. This one actually comes with the stand, just like our other DX scanner. The difference on this one is, first of all, a number of things are very cool about it. Let's start with the big ones. So all these scanners are not just 1D barcode scanners, they're actually what's called 2D barcode scanners. So in addition to using all the standard barcodes that are in use by ComicBase in traditional life, so EAN13, UPC, Codabar, Code 3 of 9, all those ones right there, being able to scan your shipping labels if you're shipping items on Atomic Avenue and you want to just quickly bleep in what item you've just shipped. They do double duty for all those things, but they also will let you do things like scanning QR codes. If you ever want to know what that secret stuff on your hotel room key was, which comes with the weird, registration key and stuff like that, you actually can just open up Notepad, bleep it in with a scanner, and you'll see every single thing that's on the back of your driver's license or anything else like that, or your Costco card or what have you. It's actually really cool. So anyway, they're much faster than the other scanners. They're just literally, we have not been able to fool these things at all in terms of how quickly we can scan from them. We've never been able to move the objects in front of them faster than they can scan them. That's pretty cool. And they also do a wonderful job of what's called auto-discriminating supplementals. So they actually work better than the old barcode scanners that we've had in ComicBase, because they're able to intelligently figure out, really with a high reliability. Our standards for acceptance from the vendors were we wanted a 94% minimum of being able to, on the first try, auto-discriminate a barcode which had a supplemental and read the supplemental information, which is to say it's going to automatically pick up on comic book barcodes. And let's see if I can, is there a way to make this so it's in focus? I'm gonna have to show that one later on. But there's a smaller group of digits at the end of a comic book barcode that include the most important information of all, things like the issue number or the variant code or the printing number. And if you don't get that information in on the scanner, and this is where most of the scanners that we rejected during testing failed, is they weren't able to reliably pick up supplemental information. So if you're using a scanner you just bought off eBay or Amazon, and you're trying to scan things in ComicBase, and half the time they don't work right, that's probably where your scanner is going wrong, is it's not picking up the whole code. Because as far as the barcode manufacturers are considered, a barcode with a supplemental and a barcode without a supplemental are both considered valid. The problem is for comic books or other periodicals, unless you get the whole thing, useless. So anyway, so these guys do a great job of auto-discriminating the supplemental. So our older barcode scanners, in order to get them to automatically be able to always pick up comic barcodes without having a misscan rate. And typically, in the old days, if we didn't force the setting to require the supplemental to, in other words, keep scanning until you see the whole code, you know, both the large digits and the small digits. Typically, if we didn't have that forced, you get about 70% positive rate, about 30% bad scan rate, which just is crazy making if you're scanning things. So the easy setups for every scanner we've ever sold up to this point has always been to force it to keep going, you know, until it sees the supplemental, and which meant it took a little longer to get the code sometimes, but also that you couldn't scan certain barcodes that were printed kind of wrong. The barcodes that some publishers that really maybe aren't as good at publishing comic books would put out there, where they'd put a barcode out there, an EN13 code that was like a can of soup. It wouldn't tell you the publication date. It wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't show you the issue number. It wouldn't do any of that stuff. They would just roll a brand new full barcode for every item that they did. And it really didn't work right. So those things beforehand couldn't be scanned in ComicBase. You would have to stop everything you were doing, say, oh, this is one of those, you know, one of those barcodes. It was the 2% or so that were really not made properly there. Stop everything, enter it in by hand, and then move on. Or you could use the expert setup in the old setup guides and take your chances with whether your barcode scanner could pick it up. But the price of that would always be that you'd be having these horrible times, you know, scanning things, and every fourth one would go bad on you, and you'd have to try it again. So the new ones do a fantastic job with that. We've really done it. I think the manufacturer we went up sourcing them from has done just a fantastic job of making that happen. We actually even insisted on some firmware tweaks to the initial setup right from the factory in order to get them to work properly with periodicals. So this one is, you know, this one we're really super happy with. So going back to the two types of scanners we got. So the DX scanner over here, you'll notice this guy, whoop, I almost dumped it out. This one here comes with a stand, which, if I can get it into frame here, problem is the focus on the camera is just a little soft, but anyway, comes with the stand. The reason you care about the stand, two reasons. One is if your desk is as crowded as mine particularly, it gives you the option to not just pick up the scanner and scan comic books with it, but you actually can just leave it right where it is, never touch the scanner at all, and simply wave comics in front of it when you want to use it. It has what's called an auto scan mode, and that's pretty cool. Now, my old desk, that was the scanner that was on my desk. Since I started doing this live streaming type things where I suddenly now have video switchers and all sorts of other crazy things on my desk now, I don't even have room for that scanner, which I'll show you in a second. But so it's stuck in a place that's super, you know, super weird and uncommon for me to use normally, but I'll show you how that one works in a sec. The other scanner that we introduced here, and I'm super jazzed about this one. Just like, you know, this last year I went to a wireless mouse. You know, these became so reliable that I never once in the 2 years I've been using it, you know, in various forms, but certainly in the last year I've used it exclusively. I've never had to worry about it not connecting with my computer. I've never had to worry about anything else. The only thing that's missing is I no longer am tripping over a mouse cable on my desktop thing. It never gets wedged under the keyboard. I never have to, you know, mess with any of that stuff at all. Well, finally, thank goodness, in this day and age, we've actually managed to source a wireless scanner that's just as convenient. This is the ComicBase wireless scanner right here. By the way, both these guys come branded with the ComicBase logo on, which at some point I'll have to show this one, you know, a little bit less blurrily. Point of focus is in there somewhere. I don't want to manually tweak the camera focus. It's not happening, guys. You'll check out the product sheets. But anyway, we got these ones made especially for us. And these are great. They literally just let you pick up the scanner and start scanning. It lasts, well, we say months on a charge. The truth is we've been testing this model here for 5 months. We've never had to charge it. But anyway, literally just pick it up, grab a bunch of comic books, and go, and you're ready to rock. So, you know, let's do a little demo. All right. Oh, by the way, before I get too carried away with this, some other folks came in. Want to say hi to folks, Agent to Camp. And we will talk prices at the end of it. You gotta wait, because that's actually almost the best news. So we'll get on that one as well. Okay, and these ones also, by the way, if you had the very first scanner we ever sold many decades ago, the Manhattan scanner, the one problem with that one is they wouldn't read CodaBar labels. And what these will do is, CodaBar is the more compact, modern code used on current comic bases that uniquely identifies the exact comic book in your collection you're dealing with. Not just, it wouldn't use the same code for anything in the same condition by the same public, of the same issue. If you had, 5 copies in very fine of Captain America number 283, it would point you to the exact copy that you were talking about. So that's a CodaBar code. Unfortunately, the old Manhattan scanners really did a rotten job of reading those. We kind of tweaked around it in more modern software to kind of make them mostly work, in retrospect, but we weren't able to extend that tweak to magazines, things like that. The new scanners work no problem on that. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little demo of what scanning of comic books into ComicBase looks like for the people who haven't seen it before, and in particular we'll demo the new books. So let me go ahead and move a couple windows aside and let's get to it. All right, so all right, what I'm gonna do right now, I'm actually gonna, well, let me show you the the DX scanner first. Let me flip to the overhead camera, see if that works. All right, let's do it. How am I going to do this? Let's do this in 2 parts. So this, hi, welcome to my desk. All right, so, all right, what I've got here, let's see, is this going to be visible on the camera? So, the exposure is pretty blown out, but I just grabbed the top 5 or 6 new Comic Book Day books on the whole thing on here. And by the way, I'm not sure. Let's see if this camera can narrow in to make out the code on that one. Come on, Zoom, you can do it. Yes. All right, so for you eagle-eyed guys watching this right now, you will see, if I move it in the right way, that this is one of those rare comics that has no supplemental. There we go. So it does not have that smaller group of digits on the far right. All the others, I believe, do have supplementals, even though they're one-offs for new Comic Book Days. So this is a more common one here. Let's, come on, take over enough of the frame so you get the exposure right. Come on, you can do it. Come on, camera. Okay. There we go. I finally locked the exposure enough so you can see it. So you see how you've got that, 93611, 73610, and then on the far right there's the 00111. Well, the 001, that's issue number 1. The one that follows that is variation number 1, and the last one is printing number 1. That's important stuff to know. You really want to know that stuff when you're scanning a book. Anyway, let's go ahead and scan these books, and I'll show you what that looks like. So let's start by showing you what it looks like on a computer, and then we'll show you what it looks like from the actual scanning side. All right, so the way I'm going to get to these ones now, kind of like the really quick way to do all this stuff is just go ahead and let me just go and wave this one for the one scanner. Oh, did I pick one that is not in the live stream one? Wouldn't that just be a thing yet? Oh, I think I did. Let me try this one more time. Otherwise, this is gonna be like the worst demo ever. Oh, hang on a second. I think I updated my database. Oh, that's exactly what I did. So guys, in case you're wondering why you always want to update your database every week, this is why, kids. Because all these books only existed in the database this week, and I did not update the live stream database before showtime. But I did update my database, so let's go ahead and try this again. Demo fail. Demo win. Alright, cool. Alright kids, remember to keep those ComicBase subscriptions updated and make sure you update your database every time, because that's why, it's amazing how much new data hits the database every single week, and you're going to want it. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead. There's a quick, you can just jump to any comic book in the database. Literally, just put your cursor up here at the, at the top. A quick way to move your cursor from anywhere it was down here up to there automatically is just hit Control J. That'll jump the cursor to that field. But just go ahead, beep you know, the comic book in question, it'll take you straight to it. At which point, if you want to, just punch a 1 on your keyboard. It'll mark quantity 1. You're done. So beep 1, move on to the next one. So that's actually the slow way of entering books, you know, with ComicBase. All right, let's go to some of the fast ways. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go under the items menu, and I'm going to say add by barcode, or if you want to be even, you know, cooler than that, say Control I. That's, you know, add by barcode. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the other screen here. And now I'm just going to go grab the first bunch of comic books in the database on my scan thing here. And honestly, as quickly as I can grab these darn things, it's going to figure out where those darn things were, pull them up, and you're ready to rock. All right, let's do the same thing again, but let's go ahead and show you what it looked like for me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, let's get rid of these. Here, I'll just close the window. Okay, let's do it this way. That way there's less stuff to mess around with. All right, let's see if I can pull this off with a camera move. All right, so here we are, and let's go ahead and use the auto scanning one over here. So I've got it turned on. Let me point it down at my desk so I know it's on. All right, and I believe if I just grab the thing, all right, stick the first one under it, and okay, yeah, so, and it did pop up over on the other screen. You can see that there. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and just grab comic books and stick them under it. Now, in my incredibly messed up desk setup I've got going on over here, you'll see that I'm fighting my monitor for every little bit of space. My old desk setup, I didn't have to have this Dymo label right here. I didn't have to have the video switcher. I didn't have the phone. So I'm fighting for a little 6-inch square of space on my desk. Your desk is probably not as messed up as mine is. Still, this is pretty cool. I mean, I literally didn't need to move a darn thing to to get to get the scans going. I could literally flip them around with the one hand, wave them over under the scanner with the other hand, and as quick as I could do it, they're entered into my collection right over here, and it got all of them, including the ones that. Let's see if have I got magnifier turned on? Yes. Now, if I do it with magnifier turned on, but I've got it on the right place on the screen, then it'll be really impressive. There we go. You know what? Darn it! It's funny because I'm looking at it in my monitor, and it does not correlate perfectly well with where the preview on the video cropper is. But anyway, I think you guys can see it well enough. Anyway, so yeah, it got them all, including the one that had the weird barcode that didn't have the supplemental, and so I didn't have to do anything special on it. You know, it was good to go. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again. You know, and maybe this is exciting. Maybe this isn't. But I'm just going to basically say, well, you know what? I'm gonna not do it again because I'm looking into the future and I can tell this is just going to be dull. Well, I'm going to lie. I'm just going to grab the wireless scanner over here and just grab them again. Now, what I do on this, and because again, my desk is full of things, I'm not even moving them on top of each other. But bam, 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 done. At which point, hit save. It's going to mark them all into my inventory. Done and done. And I've got my new comic. I print off my labels, bag and board them, and the whole show's done. So, all right, let's talk pricing because it's come up, and I'm sure some of you guys have already peeped the web page. All right, our old barcode scanners. So the DX, all right, so we used to offer two scanners. We used to offer a regular laser scanner, and that one would, I think it was like $129. It would occasionally go on sale for as low as $89. And we had a DX scanner that came with the stand and the auto scanning that had some extra mechanics that allowed you to just wave a comic under it and it would turn on and realize that there was something underneath it and do the scan. That one there used to go for $169. This guy here, 2D, much faster, much better, much cooler. Get it on the camera. Come on, this is your time for your close-up. But anyway, this guy right here, focus, you can do it. Anyway, $99.95. We're sourcing these directly from the manufacturer. We literally didn't know what they were going to cost us until we got done paying the shipping and the duties on them. because that has been going up and it's been crazy this year. But we have decided that we're going to move this one out so that everyone can get a scanner. It's going to be something that, honestly, if you use ComicBase and you're scanning more than about 100 comic books, in the whole thing, I would want a scanner on my desk, and this is the scanner that anyone can afford. So $99.95, I believe is shipping. It's like $13 of shipping on the whole thing. Done and done, and you've got a professional grade scanner right on your desk. You can use it handheld, you can use it hands-free, but it works great, and it will save you just a ton of time. You won't need to worry about what to call all the comic books. You just let the program tell you. Anyway, so there's that one. All right, now the wireless scanner. This thing costs us a freaking fortune. No, this is an expensive scanner for us. It's between the lithium battery and the whole thing, the 2D scanning on the whole thing. This is not, I mean, you can source, scanners off the Pacific Rim for, next to nothing. But by the time we got done with everything we wanted on the scanner, this is not a cheap scanner, but we still managed to bring this one home for $120 flat. We're not even doing the 99 thing anymore, because, if you go $119.99, somehow, in my head at least, that sounds more expensive than even the 120. It comes with a charging cable, so basically you get it in, plug it into a USB port, charge it up if you want to. There's even a special scan you would hit on the whole thing. It'll read off the battery level to you on the whole thing. Realistically, had this thing on my desk, we've scanned thousands of comic books with it. I haven't had to charge it once. So, anyway, very, very cool. You can use it. It runs over a wireless signal, a 2.4 gigahertz wireless signal. You could scan it from many, many feet away, and it does, both the 1D and the 2D scanning on the whole thing. Very, very cool. This, with as cluttered as my desk is, this is the scanner that goes on my desk, because it's just less stuff. I don't even need to make room for a scan. I've got comic books. I just pick them up, and I'm done. And I do the same thing when I'm mailing a package on Atomic Avenue. I just pull up the mailing label, just hit the UPS code on the whole thing, scans it into the tracking field on ComicBase, and I'm done. So anyway, we got them in. I'm so happy. I hope you guys, if you're interested, jump on it. There was one guy who actually, as we were posting the product pages, we didn't even have, because we still had the old pricing from our older model scanners up there, and before we could even finish posting the page, he'd already bought one for like $169. I wound up having to kick him back $50 on the scanner, because the new ones, we managed to get them priced in so much less for what we're getting than the others. So anyway, that's that. By the way, if anyone needs, we have a bin full of scanners that failed testing, which means they're probably perfectly fine for most everything that's not a comic book. I'm not going to guarantee that they're good, bad, or indifferent, but if anyone has just a random need for a barcode scanner, maybe you just like playing with lasers, or you want to give one to your kids to play with, contact me after the show, P. Bickford at human-computing.com. Man, will I make you a deal, because that bin otherwise is just going to sit in the back of some storage location in our office, and it's going to make us all crazy wondering what all those things are. But we tested just a ton of scanners before we arrived on these. So anyway, that's the story of the scanners, and I hope that helps. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Yes, and people say they'd like free shipping. Yes, no, that's not happening. No, we really did decide when we were going out with these new ones. I mean, because scanners are kind of an upscale item, and we used to clear a bit more money on the sale of a scanner than we're clearing on these ones. We're selling these ones very aggressively, and the reason is because we really want to make it so that everyone who's using ComicBase, the inventory collection, can afford to get a really good scanner really cheaply. But that also means that I don't have the money built into my budget to give people free shipping. So sorry guys, it's a nice try, but it's not going to happen. And also, don't expect to see these on sale that often. If you ever do see them on sale, it'll be a couple bucks less, maybe. But no, our whole theory on these new ones is we worked really hard to get them. We want you to get them, and so we're just going to basically put them at a low price every single day of the week. And yeah, go ahead and grab one up. All right, so let's let me do a quick check of chat here, and we'll take it from there. All right, great. We got the weather voice everyone. I love that. Greg says, yeah, biggest problem, FCBD books in the past at least happen to have no UPC on them. That is one thing that I really think Diamond's done a good job of. I haven't encountered one with no UPC yet. Diamond did throw down the gauntlet a number of years ago saying, look, we're just not going to deal with you unless you barcode your books. It's just not worth it for us. Now, if you get an FCBD book that comes around the back, you know, in other words, there's nothing stopping your local comic shop from having some guy that they like who's a local artist who says, hey, come on in, draw some comic books for the day, give them away, or we'll get you some publicity. At which point, those things have never gone through distribution, and they likely won't have barcodes, in which case, well, as we find out about them, then you can look them up the same way you can look up anything else in ComicBase. We'll do our best, but at least for the, like I say, the dozen or so books I grabbed before the show, testing out to see where these all fell, I am delighted with how easy this made the categorizing of things. So anyway, that's a thing. All right, let's see here. If the Agent Karas, and did that come up? It did not come up. Let me move that to, there we go. Okay. If the UPC is on the back cover, I think both the front and the back need to be submitted and shown. You know, it's a good idea, sort of. I mean, let me find one with one on the back here. Okay, so yeah, here's one. So the Pokemon one here, because you know it's manga. You know, that it's one of those things where, like, yes, the cover's on the front, but you start reading it from the back because it's manga. So that's where they put the barcode, right down here. Now, typically what we would do with, with a comic book, if it's a wraparound cover, so in other words, if the cover image extended all the way from this side to that side, then we absolutely welcome people entering in wider images. And we would, publish those. But in this case, it's just an ad on the back, so we don't really expect people to submit, the front and the back on these things. Please, do, if we hadn't already had it in the database, and we always want to know the barcode regardless of where it is. And sometimes on manga, there's actually multiple barcodes. If you guys ever wondered what the UPC and the alt UPC fields are on ComicBase, that's what that's for. Because sometimes there's like an outside barcode and an inside barcode on manga, and so we want to be able to find it by either one of those. So, yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, I'd say unless there's real art there, don't worry about trying to scan the whole cover. It's probably not worth it. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so I think I just covered Greg's question as well. All right, so and Agent Camp says my Manhattan scanner works good, but I won't read the CB generated labels. Yeah, there was a let me show an example of what that's all about. I love how everything I decided to do this time out involves close-up shots of barcodes, which are really, if I don't know, if I make a lot of money off the sale or something, maybe I will buy myself a POV camera so I can just dial in a close-up shot at a fixed focal length for something that's sitting on my desk. That'd be great. So buy a lot of scanners. Maybe I'll buy a $3,000 camera. I always see this one guy who does a lot of things on his live stream with a bunch of controllable POV cameras. I'm always incredibly jealous, but instead we're working with repurposed video equipment from back of our video shoots. But anyway, let me see if I can make this happen, and I will hold it the other way, which is very hard to see. And let's go to the overhead camera, which at least has autofocus. And nope, it's the other way. Okay, so there's the label on a Miracle Man scanner, and I'm probably not going to be able to get this close enough. Maybe. All right. I'm going to hold this as much as I can. And you guys can see that's what's called a CODA barcode. And in this case, its number is, B, and then a whole bunch of numbers. What those numbers are in this case, those refer to the exact ID number in your particular database for that particular book. So in this case, ones that start with A are legit books. Martian Chronicles, that kind of book. Ones start with B are comic books, and ones that start with C are magazines. And so we're using the CODA barcode scanner allows you to have termination characters, which is some portion of the alphabet, I think, but it's not the whole alphabet. And it uses the D at the end to say that's the end of the code. That's the mechanics of the code of barcode. Anyway, so the ones that, because we're using that part of the code to determine what type of book it is, to get the media type in there, we need to be able to see what that first part of the code is. And unfortunately, the Manhattan scanners were not very sophisticated in picking up the whole code on a codebar one. They would basically blow off the start and the end of the code. They just wouldn't give it to us. Well, we could figure out that if you didn't give it to us, it was going to have a D at the end. We could do that much, but we couldn't figure out, if you didn't give us a B, we could guess that, if you got a scanner that old, you were probably scanning comic books, because all we ever did back in the day was scan comic books. We didn't have books and magazines back then. So what we do is, if we get, if the program, if you have the latest version, gets a codebar code that's incomplete. So in other words, it stripped off the start and the terminator of the code. What we do is we assume it's a B, and then we see if you got a match in your database, and then we see if we get lucky. And we'll probably get lucky. So we try to extend the life of those old Manhattan scanners if you've still got one of those. But if you want to use it for books or magazines, certainly you'll want to upgrade your scanner, because there were no firmware upgrades for those things. I think the last one we sold was probably a decade ago, but that was the very first barcode scanner that we ever had with use with the program, back when I was pretty much convinced that we were going to sell 2 scanners ever in the entire lifetime of selling ComicBase, because I thought, barcode scanner, who wants one of those? It's like the geekiest feature ever, and honestly, it was half a fraud. When I called up the representative in America for Manhattan scanners, and I said, well, you seem to have a somewhat affordable scanner. If we set up a commercial account with you and we place an initial order of a couple, what's the least number of scanners we could ever buy from you, on any level? And I think it was like either 2 or 5, and I want to say they're like $75 each to us, like our cost, back in the day. But to our great shock, we wound up actually selling those scanners, and then we ordered more, and we sold those, and we ordered more and more and more. And by the time we were done selling those scanners, we were, I believe, either the number 1 or the number 2 reseller of that particular model of scanner in the whole United States. So I was profoundly wrong at how useful the idea of having a barcode scanner for use with the program would be. But yeah, unfortunately, as we've gone through the years, we've found better scanners and better features and more aggressive things to do with it, auto scanning and so forth. But man, I gotta tell you, finding this last, when our last barcode scanner manufacturer basically couldn't get parts anymore due to various supply shortages, and they had to discontinue the model. It was just such a pain in the butt trying to find a barcode scanner that would reliably read comic barcodes. So anyway, that's a thing. All right, and we fit prices. Awesome. Wireless we got. Let's see here. And Gregory, of course, spoiled the surprise. All right. Yes, and someone says, if I happen to drop one during the show today, there might be a scratch and dent. I will say this particular wireless one has been knocked off my desk probably 24 times, and I can say that it has survived the fall, 3 feet onto a glass mat any number of times, and it's just fine. No, we tend to get scanners that are pretty darn rugged. I think in the whole history of selling scanners, I want to say less than a dozen have ever been destroyed and returned in any format. By the way, we also sell things with essentially an infinite warranty in terms of defects. I mean, if you do run it under your car, that's on you. But if you ever have a problem with the scanner, we've always just gone and just given you a replacement. So anyway, so let's see here. Greg says, look at the way Pete's handling those comics. No way those are VFNM anymore. Well, I didn't actually bend them. And I will admit, though, these are our free comic day giveaways, and I'm not nearly as careful with these as I am with, with regular comic books, because I know what's going to happen to all these free comic book day giveaways behind me. If you can see on the main screen, the many boxes over here. Whenever we keep a couple of them as file copies, and after that they all get given away whenever you order things from us on Atomic Avenue. We just pack the box full of as many free comic book day things as we can find that doesn't cost us additional shipping. So it's basically as many as it takes to get to the next pound of shipping typically. All right, so let's see here. And Richard says Dynamite's books were always a pain on the Manhattans in the past. Yeah, Dynamite was one of the crazy publishers, and there were only like 2 or 3 of them ever that just couldn't wrap their head around the ideas that barcodes for periodicals are you don't do them in a straight EAN13 format. You have the industry standard by far is to use supplementals, particularly ever since the 90s. It's always been a 5-digit supplemental. Before back in the 80s when comic books were first introduced, there would typically be a 2-digit supplemental. So if you look at comic books, Marvel comic books back in the early 80s, you'd see sometimes it'd be like Captain America, I don't know, 301 and Captain America 313. If you looked at them closely, you'd realize that they had exactly the same barcode, because what they were using the 2-digit supplemental for was the cover date. And so 01 would be January, 02 would be February, 03 would be March, and so forth. And they would just recycle them. So as long as as long as it was still Captain America, which basically breaks down to the first 5 digits or so, I want to say 59606 means Marvel. And then Captain America would be series number, 2,843. I'm just making that up, but you'd use 5 digits to reference what series you were talking about, and then after that you would just say, and this is the January issues, this is the February issue. And so if you ever had comic books from that era and you scan them with a more modern comic base, it'll actually say, oh hey, there's 3 different comic books that match that one, which one did you mean? And it'll ask you to pick which one. So anyway, weird barcode trivia I thought I'd share with everyone. All right, let's see what else we got going on. And then the people wanting about free shipping. All right, and Greg wants to remind everyone, we have a dedicated board of the CB message boards. We request topics and demos for live stream. Please do. A good thing to do. And Agent Camp said just bought a new wireless scanner. Excellent. Yeah, it's funny. Like I say, we were shocked that people wanted these so badly that before we'd even posted the page properly, we were selling them. So anyway, thank you for everyone who wasn't just lurking on that page, and we hope you really enjoy them. I've been really enjoying them. I hope you guys too. All right, let's see here. Oh, interesting. Asian Camp says, I always submit the front and the back of the Walmart variants because they have a gray back cover. So that's interesting. So the variant is on the back cover. Huh. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, no, it's in that case, I would say definitely it's worth, if that is what the variant is the back cover. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, definitely it's worth doing a full scan. All right. Let's see. Rich Scott says, the wireless one have a stand? No, it doesn't, which is actually a curious choice on our point. The whole reason you want the wired one to have a scan, and let me go to the overhead again, and not the wireless one. Wow, that's a complicated composition. All right, so here we are. So here's the wired one. The reason you want it to have a scan is because this huge cord dangling around the back is providing it with infinite amounts of power. So if you look at that little light shining on my desk there, so this thing is ready to scan anything that gets waved under it, which means it's sucking power all the time. Or at the very least, when you wave things under it, you saw that it triggered on as soon as I waved under it. But there's always a certain amount of power draw all the time. With a wireless scanner, the whole advantage of this kind of thing is grab it, pick it up, put it down, done. Sticking a stand would kind of, because you can't keep it powered on all the time. That really isn't its use case. What you'd want to do is you'd have to pull it out of the scan, pick it up, pull the trigger, put it back in the stand, and that's actually less convenient than no stand at all. But if people are interested in getting stands, the same stand that works with the RDX scanner, we can source them for the wireless scanner if that's of interest to people. Which I guess maybe if you just want to keep the clutter on your desk vertical, that could be a thing. Realistically, having used both scanners here for a number of months, I feel no urge to have an extra stand on my desk if I don't need one. But if you guys feel differently, let us know. We can source stands. We probably could get them in for $15-20 each, if we want to sell those as a separate thing. All right, great questions, guys. All right, how many scanners installed on live stream today? Guys, I don't know. I've been busy live streaming. I haven't looked yet. All right, but anyway, thank you everyone who has bought a scanner. All right, I think and I've been babbling on pretty good here, and I didn't see any questions come in for ComicBase type things, so I think I'm pretty much good. Oh, Agent Camp says, how about a holster instead of a scan? Man, somebody who has a 3D printer is going to have to figure out what that looks like and let us know. Quick draw scanner. Yeah, yeah, that's actually pretty funny, because now that you said it, it's actually... it's not the dumbest thing I've heard of. So I want to talk a little bit about, like, things that are features, but they're not features. All right, so let me see here. Let me get the... I think I need to go to a different one, and that'll pull it off. So, all right. So I mentioned... so as far as the things I wanted to say what these do, I mostly want to talk about things that it will do in the program right this second. Oh, and I'm sorry, when we get on that, there was one comment that came up earlier before the show, and I wanted to address it. A person been asking me, hey, can I just use my phone as a scanner, right? So in other words, can I get out my wherever I put it? Yeah. So can I just get out my iPhone? Pull up the ComicBase app, click add the thing, hold the thing there, wait till it settles down, scan the thing, shows me the comic book, scroll down, hit 1, hit save, go. Yes, you can do that if you have the Pro or the Archive editions. It's great if you've got a couple of books to enter, and it really sucks if you got a bunch. So in other words, if the use case for the mobile app really is, it's terrific if you're just on the road, you picked up some things at a comic show and you want to put in your inventory because you just like being organized before you get back, or you don't want to go out and buy the same comic book twice on day 2 of the show and things like that. It works terrific for that. I mean, by all means, that's why we put it into the program. But there's mechanics to just that whole process of, taking, a camera, right? Waiting, I mean, you saw how long I waited for the image to stabilize, when we were working with the video cameras in the studio here. You wait for the image to stabilize, you wait for it to finally, yep, that's the thing. You're always working on way too small of a screen, so you're always scrolling, you hit the thing go, and then, that, it doesn't feel like it's taking a long time, but if you actually put a stopwatch up to it and you said, how long did it take me to scan 30 comic books that way versus how long did it take me to scan 30 comic books just using, say, the wireless barcode scanner, it's not a contest. I can scan a stack of comic books when I get a box of comic books back in there and I just want to scan through them all and get them added to the program. It's probably a minute or two, absolutely tops, whereas it'd be several minutes if I did it, using a phone. So yes, you can use a phone. It will save you a couple bucks, but I always kind of go to, like, what would I tell a friend? If I had no financial interest in the whole thing, what would I still tell a friend? If I did, if he was just using software, and it kind of comes down to, like, hey man, look, your time's worth something. Don't be so cheap with not wanting to blow a couple bucks on a scanner that you kind of do yourself in day out, just using the program. So it's just the wrong use case. So I would strongly suggest get yourself a scanner. I mean I don't even care if it's ours. Although finding one that works properly with comic books, we've proven is incredibly difficult these days. But if you were to somehow some guy had like a used something on eBay for $5, great, you'll still be happier with that than you will be trying to scan hundreds and hundreds of comic books using a phone. So anyway, that's about that. All right. All right, I think Agent Camp, I think you officially get the funniest comment of the whole live stream so far. No, it hasn't shipped yet, but it'll ship tomorrow. All right, guys. All right, so that was the thing I want to say beforehand. Let me check my notes on the whole thing. And yes, and I was sincere. If anyone does want random barcode scanners for some other purpose, just not comic books, we can definitely help you out. I will basically probably give them to you for like $5 plus cost of shipping. But reach out, Pete Bickford at humancomputing.com. It'll be a random barcode scanner. We will warranty nothing at all about it. I don't know why you'd want one, but God knows we don't want them, and I'm gonna feel really weird throwing them out. Anyway, other things I just want to briefly mention about. Shopify is a feature that we've been talking about in the past. I have gotten into the problem of incorporating it with ComicBase and basically fitting us into that whole ecosystem. I've been working on this for some amount of time this last several weeks. I've gone between, oh hey, this is going great, the technical stuff is working perfectly, to being absolutely in despair for how you're ever going to reconcile inventory from multiple sources. I have some ideas as to how this might wind up being still a good experience for people who want to do the kind of clicks and mortar experience. So you sell things both in person and you sell them on multiple online systems, perhaps. But definitely I'm interested, if you are in that position and you think that you might want to get involved with that, please do reach out to me, Pete Bickford at human-computing.com. Let me put it up here on the screen. I think I've got it right there. Please do reach out to me. And let's get in touch by email. I want to drill down some more about your particular ideas and requirements, because there are some business aspects to it, just in terms of reconciling your own inventory, that they've almost got nothing to do with the tech, but it's just, how do you know which system is telling you the truth about what you've got? That I want to know that if anything we do is keeping in line with your expectations on it. Otherwise, we should just run away and not touch it. Because there's nothing worse than a feature that technically works perfectly and still makes people miserable because they expected something different, but they hadn't really quite thought through all the implications of that. So, I mean, I've got a bunch of action figures. I've got a bunch of comic books. I've got a bunch of things I've posted in my Shopify store already. I add a bunch of new things through ComicBase. Some of them match, some of them don't. I sell something. Maybe it's known to me. Maybe it isn't. Who is telling me the truth about what my inventory is? Is it Shopify? Is it ComicBase? Is it Atomic Avenue? Until we can answer that question, I don't know how we make you happy. So anyway, that's our major concern on that. So if you are interested in that, please do reach out to me. And then finally, and this is, thank you very much to the Wrench for the 7-minute warning on that one. I want to say we are looking forward very much to next week. Should be a very special live stream with our first guest, which means that I'm going to be going absolutely nuts for the next 7 days trying to figure out how to work a call-in into this whole thing and make that work. I see things like the Nerdrotic broadcast and they all make it look so easy. Now I looked into some of the mechanics of it before this show, because I thought, well, maybe I can set up some of that using the technology I'll clearly be needing, and do like a one-off ahead of time. And how hard could that be? As it was, pretty darn baffling. So I need to do a lot more research on that one, but I'm gonna, hopefully I can make that happen, in which case we'll have our first ever guest. And if so, it'll be John Jackson Miller from, you guys know him, you might know his work as an author on Iron Man. You might know his work as an author of the Knights of the Old Republic books. A very, very popular series there. Or I know him as the numbers guy from Comics Buyer's Guide, and probably the #1 source on the actual state of circulation and the comics industry in the industry, period. And so if we can get this whole thing together, we'll be talking about, well, among other things, just how's it going with that whole industry thing, or how effed are we as far as comic numbers and trends. So I hope you guys will join us for that one. I hope I can pull it off. I don't want to have to push that one back, but I've got a lot of woodshedding to do on my own to make the mechanics of that happen. So it's my learning curve. I don't come from the podcasting thing natively. I mostly worry about things like barcodes and software. So all this I'm learning with all the rest of y'all, but hopefully it's in good shape so we can make that happen next week. All right, guys, thank you for everyone who joined us. Do jump on the sale if you guys are in need of either a barcode scanner, or if you guys are up for any kind of renewal or upgrade. Like I say, you'll save yourself a bunch of money, and yeah, enjoy. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.